everyone. Welcome to History Delights. My name's Tom. Kevin's behind the camera. How
Hi,
you doing,
Tom.
Kevin?
How are you doing?
Hey, in my hand here we got the bald eagle.
Yeah.
Grandson bought this. He's
All
happy to have
right.
it. Kind of fitting since we're here at the University of Iowa, and we're standing in front of the first Capitol building of the state of Iowa. Construction on this old building was started in roughly 1839 and completed in 1842. What we're going to do is we're going to go inside. What I've done is I've already taken pictures in there, so we're going to do a collage of photos while I explain each room. And then at the very end, we're just going to be doing the walking tour set to music, so you can just get spatially a better grasp of how big the building is and how neat it looks. So let's go inside, Kevin. Okay, we're on the east side, or actually the back side of the Capitol building, the front side. You can't get in. And as we look over here to my left and your right, we see McBride Hall. And that inside McBride Hall is the Museum of Natural History. And they've got a lot of great exhibits in there. So if you're ever in Iowa City, stop by the University of Iowa here. It's in the downtown. There's signs on telling you how to get here. But I'm telling you what, this is just a fantastic building to go into, and it's just a wonderful example of old style architecture, especially these steps, the staircase. It's just fabulous. So let's go on inside. Oh, we have us a tour guide. Hi, how are you doing today? Would you like to tell us your name?
My name's Maya.
Maya, I'm Tom, and this is Kevin from History Delights.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
So do you give tours here?
I do give tours here.
How long have you been doing that?
I've been working here for 4 years.
4 years. I bet you're pretty knowledgeable.
Yes.
So, are there any ghosts?
There are some ghosts.
There are. Can you tell us about some ghosts?
We like to say that we have a ghost named Chauncey.
Chauncey.
And that's the name of one of the people who was working on the building when it was first built in 1839.
Wow, that's incredible. Well, if it's okay with you, we're just going to do a quick walking tour around here and take some video of the inside of this wonderful building.
Yes, all good.
Okay, thank you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
The old Capitol staircase, unlike spiral staircases, starts ascending to the left, turns right, and finishes with the top step directly above the bottom. This shape is known as a reverse spiral. The reverse spiral design was not easy to build. When architect John Francis Rague walked off the Iowa Capitol project, he took the plans with him. Builders were left guessing how to assemble the staircase. When they finished, the bottom inside newel, the final post of a staircase, was 10 inches too short. With little money to fix the problem, builders placed a water cooler next to the newel to balance out the different heights. The staircase went unchanged for 80 years. During the 1920s rehabilitation, architects realized that Rague's design called for each baluster, the supporting post of a handrail, to be a different size. They rebuilt the staircase, adding steel cables to the inside and metal poles to the outside to prevent steps from swaying during heavy use. The current staircase is actually the building's second, based on original designs. During Iowa's early days as a territory and state, the Iowa Supreme Court judged all trials at the state level. 3 judges sat behind the long raised bench. Facing it were 2 desks, one for the prosecuting lawyers and the other for the defense. Spectators watched the trials from the rows of benches. Charles Mason, Chief Justice of the Territorial Supreme Court from 1838 to 1846, was appointed as first Chief Justice of the State Supreme Court in 1847. Mason wrote the first opinion, or judgment, of the court in 1839, while Iowa was still a territory. In 1849, this Supreme Court chamber also became the home of the United States District Court for the Western region. It served both district and state courts during the 1850s. After the court moved to Des Moines, 2 Iowa judges, George C. Wright and C.C. Cole, established the first law school west of the Mississippi. This school transferred to the old Capitol to become the University of Iowa School of Law in 1868. From 1859 to 1862, this room housed the State Historical Society. After the 1920s rehabilitation, the room was used as a classroom and office space. In 1972, the Iowa Supreme Court held trials here in conjunction with the University of Iowa Student Bar Association's annual Supreme Court Day. In 1996, the Old Capitol Museum celebrated 150 years of Iowa statehood by reenacting early Iowa court cases in this room. The treasurer manages the state's income, but the job is more than simply counting coins or depositing dollars. In Iowa's early history, state income came from three main sources: taxes, fines, and the sale of public land. The treasurer received monies belonging to the territory and reported regularly to the Legislative Assembly and auditor. The treasurer was also responsible for advertising and selling public land. The currency of the 1840s was confusing. Although gold coins were used most often, there were four different forms of currency in use in Iowa: state money, city money, bills printed by businesses, and IOUs. In 1864, the federal government finally standardized currency, ending the confusion and abuse of private money. Office supplies from the 1840s and 50s differ from those today. Treasury staff use ledgers, quill pens, and ceramic inkwells for keeping records, wood trays for counting change, and tin lock boxes for storing keys. Before staplers were invented in the 1870s, the treasurer fastened documents using a riveter, a hand-operated press that secured metal pins to the paper. Twine from a hanging string holder served to bind packages before tape was invented in the 1920s. While the treasurer usually worked at the smaller desk, his assistants used the large stand-up desk where they could easily greet citizens and handle business transactions. In the safe, the treasurer stored important records and money, such as the 1846 gold coins on display. Iowa's auditor monitors state monies with the state treasurer and acts as the state's bookkeeper. Iowa's first auditor, Joe Fales, served 2 terms from 1846 to 1850. He analyzed state accounts, collected taxes from counties, wrote financial reports, and developed a working budget each year. He quickly realized the financial problems facing the new state. Fales suggested the use of the first tax form to be filed by the taxpayer. He also advocated for taxes to be determined by property value. Because Fales and his associates kept track of so many activities across Iowa, they had to maintain a keen understanding of the state's ever-changing boundaries. The 2 maps hanging on the walls illustrate how rapidly Iowa grew as a state. The 1845 map behind the stove shows Iowa with 21 counties along the eastern border, and the rest of the state belonging to Native Americans. The map above the desk shows Iowa when it entered the Union in 1846. At that time, 1/3 of the state was being settled by pioneers, forcing Native American tribes to surrender their land and push further west. As Iowa expanded westward, lawmakers decided to move the state capital to a more central location in Des Moines. The leader of the university is called a president and reports to the State Board of Regents and the governor. The president's office is one of the spaces in the old Capitol that has seen the most change. Originally part of the room next door, this office housed the Secretary of State from 1842 to 1857. When the University of Iowa moved into Old Capitol in 1857, the entire space became the first gymnasium and later housed the Normal Department, the current College of Education. In 1860, a wall divided the space, and this room served as the office for the university president. The gift shop was used by secretaries and assistants to the president and deans. During the 1920s rehabilitation, A marble fireplace and the building's first indoor bathroom were installed here. Walnut bookcases were built to hold catalogs and yearbooks, many dating back to the university's establishment. The leading government official in every state is a governor, elected by the people. Many significant Iowans presided in the governor's office. First was Ansel Briggs, who served as Iowa's governor from 1846 to 1850. His experience as a stagecoach driver and mail carrier prompted him to work to improve transportation for pioneers. Stephen B. Hempstead followed Briggs as governor from 1850 to 1854. During Hempstead's 4 years in office, he added 52 counties to the state of Iowa. James W. Grimes was the last governor to occupy this office from 1854 to 1858, and he helped move the government to Des Moines in 1857. He worked to establish schools of higher education in Iowa, including the University of Iowa. When the building was given to the university in 1857, officials divided this space into 4 separate rooms, the office of the Department of Political Economics and 3 classrooms. As the university added more buildings, administrators moved into this office. The Board of Regents frequently met here to make important decisions on academic programs, guidelines, and budgets. The governor's office served many purposes and hosted a variety of lawmakers, administrators, and special guests. Even its furnishings were multifunctional. The large desk has drawers that open from both sides, allowing 2 people to work at the same time. The drop-leaf table and 4 walnut side chairs serve for both business transactions and social visits. Iowa's Constitution establishes the General Assembly, a lawmaking body that consists of a Senate and a House of Representatives. Iowa's House of Representatives has 100 members, each serving a separate district of approximately 33,000 people. There are 100 House districts in Iowa, 2 within each of the 50 Senate districts. The House chamber is celebrated as one of the most important rooms in the old Capitol. Iowa became the 29th U.S. state here in 1846. The 26 members of Iowa's House of Representatives gathered here to establish the Code of Iowa, or the state's laws, and to inaugurate Iowa's first 3 governors. After the government moved to Des Moines, the university used this room as a chapel for daily services. In 1880, the space was divided into 3 rooms, a classroom, a library, and an office, for the law department. After the 1920s rehabilitation, the Iowa House chamber was designed to mirror the Senate chamber and used as a lecture hall. In the 1970s, the room returned to its original design. For Iowa's 150th anniversary in 1996, legislators returned to the old Capitol dressed in traditional 1840s clothing and reenacted a legislative assembly. Iowa's first state constitution was written here in 1846 and revised in 1857. Most U.S. states rewrote their constitutions several times before meeting the needs of their citizens. Iowa's original constitution, however, is still in use today. It was designed to accommodate change, allowing future legislators to make amendments when necessary. Approximately 50 amendments have been made since it was first written. When Iowa became a state, federal law mandated that every slave state brought into the Union must be accompanied by a free state. Territories admitted in pairs were called sister states. Texas, the 28th and a slave state, was Iowa's sister state. In 1847, lawmakers gathered here for the first General Assembly and founded the University of Iowa. When the university moved into the old Capitol, officials divided the Senate chamber in half. One side was arranged with desks for the Education Department. The other side housed the Cabinet of Natural History, forerunner of the current University of Iowa Museum of Natural History. The cabinet remained here until 1886, when it moved to the new Hall of Science, now known as McBride Hall. As the university expanded in the early 1900s, the Senate chamber became home to the library and the university registrar. After the 1920s rehabilitation, the Senate chamber was set up as a lecture hall. During the 1950s and 60s, the university hosted high school debates and speech contests here. When the old Capitol opened as a museum in 1976, the tradition of community use endured. The Senate chamber continues to serve as a venue for public events, concerts, PhD defenses, and lectures. What technology was available when the old Capitol was built? Lighting. Before electricity, Capitol staff relied on the building's large windows as a main source of light. Candles were lit whenever extra light was needed. These candles, made from animal fat, were stored in boxes filled with straw that hung on the walls. The straw prevented the candles from breaking or melting. Gas light was added in the 1800s and electricity by the 1920s. Heating. Because gas and electric heat systems were not invented yet, people relied on fireplaces for warmth. With fireplaces in only the four corner rooms, builders quickly realized that the old Capitol needed additional sources of heat for its central spaces. Instead of constructing more chimneys, they put stoves in the hallways and ran pipes through the walls, which radiated heat throughout the building. A cool idea that was warmly welcomed. To keep out the winter cold and summer heat, builders installed shutters on all the windows. Draperies of very heavy merino wool provided additional insulation. The installation of steam heat began in the 1880s and was completed during the 1920s rehabilitation. Steel, iron, and other mass-produced materials weren't available in the 1840s, so architects constructed Old Capitol using heavy timbers and limestone cut from local quarries on the Iowa River. Masons laid brick walls 2 feet thick and added an additional 2 feet of limestone to the exterior framework, making Old Capitol a very strong structure. During the 1920s rehabilitation, Old Capitol was gutted. All the old, fragile wood timbers were removed and replaced with steel to reinforce the entire building. The only original woodwork left today are the 8 columns on the first and second floors, which are made of pine and purely decorative. Workers also placed concrete slabs under the bell tower to help stop fire should it occur. In 2001, this slab prevented the rest of the building from burning to the ground. In the 1920s, the limestone was repaired and restored as well. The west portico, a porch with roof and columns, and a veranda and enclosed balcony were also built, completing the architect's original plans for the old Capitol. Another one of the old Capitol's central features is the dome. Above the stairs is an interior dome. This structure actually lies 40 feet beneath the exterior gold dome. In the 1920s, the exterior dome was covered with 57,000 square inches of gold leaf, which cost about $200. Rolled up, the gold is about the size of a golf ball.